on behalf of Sairam Institute of Technology, I welcome you all for the next session. Okay. It's my great pleasure to invite our chief guest, Dr. Uma Shankar sir. Please welcome you, sir. Good morning, sir.
Very good morning to all.
Sir, thank you very much. And good morning once again. Sir, and he is completed UG 2001. He is a proud alumni of GCT, completed PG 2004, and outstanding alumni of EIT, and completed PhD 2013. He worked as a associate professor in VIT Vellore. He has more than 15 years experience. Now he is working as an associate professor in College of Engineering, Prince Sultan University, Saudi Arabia. As well as he co-established the Renewable Energy Lab. Then he worked towards the Global Education Policy Network and worked towards SDG goals to attain the SDG goals. He is a senior member in IEEE. He has taken charge as a vice chair IEEE Madras session and a chair IEEE student activity from 2018 to 20. He is a editor of IEEE Access, Spring Nature, Emerald, and other high-impact journals. He has published more than 250 research papers. He authored 12 books, 12 technical articles. He received Danfoss Innovate Award from VIT Vellore. He guided more than 24 PG students, more than 25 UG students. Okay. I welcome you, sir. It's my great pleasure to invite you, sir. Okay. I hand over the session to our that is respected chief guest, Dr. Uma Shankar sir. Sir, thank you, sir. Just you start the section, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. A very good morning to one and all present here, and I'm really happy that to share my experience with this audience in this Internet of Things for Smart Grid 5 days AICT training and learning faculty development program at Sairam Institute of Technology. So first of all, I would like to thank your HOD, Mr. Anbalagan, then all the coordinators, then students. So I hope so my slide is visible and audible. My voice is audible.
Voice is audible, sir.
Thank you. So let us start this my presentation now. So AI and IoT applications in smart grids and the buildings. Okay. So actually, when I see the brochure, okay, so this is completely related to the cutting edge technologies which is applicable for the current smart grids. So if this is the case, so how these technologies play an important role in driving the future smart grids and the future smart buildings, okay? Because the future is going to be the smart. So that's what the ultimate goal as per the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal under 2030 vision, okay? So before going to that, so I would like to give some brief view about the Renewable Energy Lab. So we have its aims to conduct the high quality research, meet the requirements of the society. It also provides the academic support and scientific consultancy to national, international industries. So, and it is also ready to collaborate with various institutions and among the different faculty members as well to accomplish the PSU mission. So objectives of this lab is to provide a healthy research environment, then to develop a solid expertise in the field of renewable energy, to contribute towards the renewable energy industry, attract the industry sponsor and government funding, to collaborate with international and national institutes to improve the global and subject ranking, to run this lab as a cost center to generate the revenue. So based on this, renewable energy lab, we have a goal like short term and mid term and long term. Everything is towards the renewable energy and smart grid and EV charging infrastructure. So based on this, we divided the tracks like standalone and grid connected PV solar system, then power electronic converters and the electric vehicle, then control of smart grid and AI IoT applications of smart homes and cities. Okay. Because we are seeing that okay, the future is going to be the technology enabled. So it's very important that we should travel or we should go in that track. Okay. So I given the clear picture in the right hand side, so you can see that how a smart grid and a smart home is looking like. So what are the things you can integrate and how you can charge the EVs, okay, by using this environment. So for accommodating this and coordinating all these things, so we need some technology, which is nothing but artificial intelligence or IoT. So now we are going to see a topic called Smart Grid and Homes, a roadmap to sustainable development goals by using the latest technologies like IoT and AI. If you look at smart grid and homes, okay, so what is meant by smart grid? Okay, it has to respond. Okay, the grid has to respond, and grid has to behave smartly, and the grid has to involve the consumers. Okay, so that is so-called smart grid. So as per the Indian government latest policy, so they like to implement smart cities almost in many parts of the India, and so which is under implementation now. And if you look at that, the Indoor is in Madhya Pradesh, which is getting much attraction in terms of the smart cities. And when you look at in the southern region, like especially in Tamil Nadu, so they have implemented a lot of plans in different cities, including Vellore. When I was there, I also participated in that, but it was not focusing on smart grid. Okay, so it was focusing on developing the city. Okay, so it's something different roadmap they followed, and they didn't concentrate on the grids as well as the other homes or energy like that. Okay. Even perhaps if you see that in Chennai, they almost the TNEB, they started implementing the smart metering system. Okay, especially in some parts of the T Nagar. Okay, you know very well. So if this is the case, so the future is going to be the technology enabled. So there is no doubt in this. So that's the reason. So now, as a researcher, as a students, as a faculty, if you focus on this area, so it will be very promising one. So the world energy scenario, so how it is looking like at present, it's like the demand is growing, okay, 1.6% per year on an average between 2006 to 2030, because we are in 2020 now, okay. So by 2030, an increase of 45% will be the demand, okay. And all energy needs would be well over 50% higher in 2030. Okay, so that means after 2030 it will be 50% higher. Okay, especially the Asian countries like China and India is accounting for 45% of the increase in the global primary energy demand. So that's what the scenario now. And when you look at the criteria are the some of the metrics. Okay. Evaluation metrics. So it's one nothing but the per capita energy. So what is mean by per capita energy? How much energy an individual is getting in a particular country. Okay, so that's so-called per capita energy. So when you look at the Western as well as the Europe countries, there the population is very less, but that's the reason. So the per capita energy is very high. Okay, that means the energy available to an individual. So if this is the case, when you look at India, India is not having that much per capita energy, okay, because the population, okay, especially. And in this, if you look at electrical energy is an essential ingredient, okay, for the industrial and other development. So it is the form of different forms of energy. Then you need to think about the different economic aspects to transfer those energy to domestic and industrial applications. So you know very well what is the scenario in Tamil Nadu now, how they are managing the electrical energy demand. Especially there are a lot of things happen during this COVID-19. Like for example, they suddenly stopped all the factories. So suddenly the load demand is considerably reduced. Okay, so how the TNEB they managed. Okay, then you know very well about the Indian government announcement. Okay, and the COVID-19. Okay, so one day we stopped all the lights. Okay, so there was a lot of issue and there was a lot of controversies happened and a lot of debate related to that. So if this is the scenario, just imagine. Okay, even if you look at the recently one more incident happened, right? Maybe in June or July. So the TNEB or any other energy industry, okay, or the government should be very, very alert to manage the energy demands, okay. Especially without interruption, it has to deliver the energy to entire part of the community. So energy is more than expense; it can be a liability. So what does it mean is the power cuts. Okay, so you know very well. So in India, just for maybe for 5 minutes or a particular time period, we switched off. You know very well, right? During the corona, as well as in maybe there is a one day we are celebrating worldwide, right? So zero energy day like that. So on that day also, they are advising us to switch off all the things, right? So if we do that, okay, so what happens? So that is fine, maybe it's for the short time. So you just imagine about the power cuts. Recently, there is a cyclone in USA. You know very well, okay? The entire city was in dark, okay? Almost 24 hours, more than 24 hours, okay? If this is the case, okay, and another thing is in the Middle East countries, so you know very well, so there is a temperature is quite high. For example, we are facing here almost 40 to 50 degree temperature every day. Okay, and this month only it started decreasing. Okay, but still it is 42 degree here. Okay, so this is the scenario. So most of the Middle East countries they face like this. Okay. And another thing is here we are running the ACs in all the rooms almost 24 into 7. Okay, that means ACs. During winter, what happens? It reverse. No ACs, but always the heaters will run. Okay, so just imagine throughout the year the energy consumption is vast. Okay, and wastage also huge wastage, and as well as the overuse of electricity. So example, you can see the Kuwait is using a 98.5% of grid capacity almost, and but the only advantage is the Middle East has the one of the world's highest per capita consumption rate in the energy. So that's the thing. So it's the good news. Not only that, per capita and energy waste. So we need to also focus on the global warming and the CO2 emissions. So you know very well a lot of the media, social media images, videos you might have seen, like Himalayas visible from the Punjab. Then even here also, like we are able to see the Bahrain from Saudi. So means Bahrain is in the means across the sea. So but it is visible. Okay, it's stating that there is now no CO2 emission, no pollution, right? But it is not the scenario. So what's really happening is the global temperature is increasing every 10 years by 1.5 degrees C. You can see, right? So, sorry, 0.5 degrees C. So if this is the case, so imagine what will happen to the Arctic and Antarctic region. Even now itself, there is a lot of damage happened in the Arctic region, especially just above the Europe. close to Russia. Okay, so many places is visible nowadays. That's what they are claiming now. Okay, means the ice melted completely, and there are land is visible. Okay, so now in that land, a lot of gold and other petrochemical products are available like that. They found, and almost 10 to 15 countries they have a competition to capture that land. So these are the scenarios. Okay, and percentage of CO2 emission, if you look at, okay, so richest country as well as the poorest country it is less. Okay, so only the emissions are very less. For example, 3% in the poorest country. So when you look at the developed countries, like the richest countries, the CO2 emission is a huge. Okay. So what we supposed to do? So as per Schneider Electric formula, okay, so the world in the next 40 years would require far more energy, but in an ever more sustainable way. Okay, sustainable way means how you can consume it by using the natural resources as well as with a more energy efficiency. Okay. So in next 40 years, what they predicted is the energy consumption will be doubled, CO2 emission need to be half, means we have to make it half, otherwise we will be in danger. Okay. For that, what we need to do, we should become 4 times more energy efficient. Okay, as per the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal as well as Paris Summit called COP 21. Okay. So the required energy transition would change the energy ecosystem. So how? For example, if you look at in 2010, the amount of or the contribution from the renewable energy is less, but whereas now if you look at the contribution from solar and wind is huge. Okay, so that's the scenario. So that's the reason. So we supposed to go for the more green energy resources. Even here, there is a lot of plan to implement green energy resources. Whereas in India has a very good potential. For example, when you look at the wind energy, almost 50% is installed now. Remaining 50% potential is remaining in the onshore as well as the offshore. And electricity demand also comparing 1990s and at present it is almost 35 to 40% in 2020. Okay, so it's if this is the case, the demand is keep on increasing, but where is the supply available? So that's the question mark. Okay. And not only that, the grid is also, which is very aged, very old grid. Okay, so the electrical infrastructure, if you look at, it is installed long back. It's not recently. So that's the another challenge. Because if you want to connect the solar and wind, your electrical infrastructure should be in a good condition. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to accommodate the new energy resources, right? If this is the case, so what we supposed to do, or what we supposed to have the objective in the near future is to implement completely the green energy resources. At the same time, we need to develop the infrastructure. You might be knowing, right? So suppose if you are in Chennai, especially if you take the areas like Velachery, or if you take the areas like T Nagar or Saidapet, or you take the areas like Tambram, right? So all are congested, and you can see that all the infrastructure which is developed is very old. Okay, so suppose if you are planning to incorporate solar in that region, so in that area, so what will happen? You supposed to have some very good infrastructure to accommodate those new resources to connect to the grid. Okay. Then second thing is the green building. Because nowadays we need to focus on green building because it is a part of the smart grid as well as the smart cities. The green building, the building is a citizen of the city and has an obligation to society. So the building should have provide very good economic and environmental performance. Okay, and
who's that? Anita ma'am.
Can you mute?
மூஞ்சி தெரியலடா ஜி. இந்த பொண்ணு
Can
நல்லா
you please
பாரு.
mute?
Excuse me.
கொஞ்சம் பரவாயில்லாம தான்
Wait, wait,
இருக்கு.
wait.
Can you please mute that?
Chance
1 minute, sir. 1 minute, sir. Prasanna, unmute your mic. Prasanna, sir, excuse me. Prasanna, unmute your mic. Thank you, sir. Sorry for the disturbance.
Okay. So anyway, like this entertainment in between is nice only to alert the audience. Okay. So what we need to consider is the unique cultural needs, health and safety and productivity of its occupants. Okay. And with the continuous care, the building has to minimize the energy use. For example, you know very well about Gindi. Gindi, there is a building called Olympia Tech Park. Likewise, there are a lot of buildings in Chennai. Okay, so it is certified as a green building or LEED building certification, and which is having a very good energy reduction. That means energy consumption reduction. Then it is generating its own energy as well. Okay, the building itself. So this kind of buildings is also very important. And not only that, the energy used inside the building, because you know very well, it should have some natural ventilation is also very important in the buildings. And also, it has to control the lighting as well as the cooling arrangements inside the building. So most of the time, if you look at all these things requires the sensors. Okay, sensors is a very important or key part in this developing the green building as well as the green energy infrastructure. So what is the relationship between the planet and the environment? Environment is a different category, planet is a different category. So who are all playing an important role? For example, if you want the environment to be lower energy cost and safe, secure and working environment, availability of power and data, occupant experience. So this is coming under the employee productivity and satisfaction. Then flexibility is about the freedom to restructure the space, adaptable throughout the building life cycle. Fast construction is under the flexibility. Nowadays, you might be seeing in the OMR as well as in the ECR roads or any other developing areas in Chennai, you might be knowing very well, right? So how the building is constructed nowadays, especially the software parks as well as the hospitals. Okay, so now they have to meet the requirements of this policy as well as the norms. Then when you look at the planet, actually the planet as well as the people, we are focusing on the profit. Okay. For example, planet is concerned, so we need to focus on lower energy use as well as the CO2 emission, corporate social responsibility and regulatory compliance. What we supposed to contribute in this is talent retention rates, employee loyalty, and fewer sick days, improved well-being, improved occupant experience. So what does it mean is, if everything is good, then we will be good, and then we will work also good, and without any interruption, and as well as we can have the better improved experience. What is the profit we will get it? Increased occupancy, tenant retention, then increased building value and rental. You know very well already in Chennai there is a very good rental value, right? So all of you know very well. Then you know very well, but if you look at the older buildings, like if it is a 5-year-old building, you know very well how the house is looking like, and even because of the pollution. So what's happening? The outside environment of the buildings also, it's collapsing, not only inside. Okay. So this is the scenario for the case of Chennai. Okay. So then you imagine, okay, that's the reason nowadays they are building like what they call compounds. Okay, different compounds. Okay, or they call it as cities. Okay, different enclosed cities, right? So especially you can see it in when you travel from outskirts, for example ECR, OMR, or even from GST road to OMR. So that route also you can see many such compounds, okay, or you can call it as closed buildings, okay, where you can get all the amenities like you can stay, you can have supermarkets, then hospitals, schools, like that, okay. I forgot the name exactly, maybe you might be knowing. Then another thing is the certification. Certification nowadays they are getting by just paying the money, okay. But it has been made strict nowadays, okay. So the energy use is very important nowadays, so it has to be made very strict. For example, silver certification, gold or platinum certification to get the building, for the building, they have to make a mandatory all the policies and implementations. So this is also very important for the future smart grid as well as the smart buildings. If you look at the green building evolution, it takes place from long back. Like it started in the past, like focus on environmental impact on construction, that means a green design. Then focus on efficiency and operational performance over the time, like LEED building. And today it has been changing, okay, one by one. Let us see what is changed today and what will be the future, okay. When green is not green enough, so what is the problem will happen, okay. So you can see that typical existing homes, it's in the red region, okay. That means it's not green building, okay. Then then later on they implemented like a star rating for the different electrical equipments. You might be knowing about the ACs, then the refrigerators, then the washing machine, then all the electronic equipments. Now they are giving a star rating, stating that the energy consumption is very less, right? So what is the advantage of going with energy consumption is very less, because you know very well, right? Recently in the COVID-19, especially in Chennai region, that TNEB have implemented a scheme like no need to pay for electricity bill from March, like that. Then later on they clubbed the fees, and many of consumers, they received the huge billing, okay. So if this is the scenario, so you should have some high star rated electrical equipments in your house. That is also very important. And not only that, nowadays you have your smartphones available with you. So the smartphones are coming with the IoT technology. So you can have IoT based smart home energy management, like by using your Android apps. Nowadays it's available in most of the companies, they are providing it. Even you know very well, right? Even the fans are coming with this IoT technology nowadays. So if this is the scenario, so make more IoT related electrical equipments inside of your house, then you no need to worry about this red zone. Then your home will become green home or passive home, or you can finally call it as a net zero home when you generate your own energy in your house itself. For example, you can incorporate the solar PV or wind, small wind turbines, or you can have any other useful green energy production in your house itself, okay. Especially nowadays, if you see that rainwater harvesting is also one important aspect in this green energy building. They have to mandate this rainwater harvesting in Chennai especially, so that your particular house or the land itself will get the necessary water is required for your own use, okay. So that's also could be incorporated in this, or to mandate in this, so that they can certify that. The global share for the green energy building, if you look at especially in 2018, for the construction industry, especially. So the energy usage, where the energy usage is more, okay. You can see the energy usage is about 22% for the residential, okay. Then construction industries carrying 6%, and other industries 32%, and transportation is mainly uses 28%. Okay, whereas the emissions is also the same, right? Emissions from the transportation sector is 23%, whereas from the residential, then construction industry, overall it is contributing more percentage in this. okay, comparing with the emissions as well as other industries, okay. So if this is the scenario, so we need to focus on smart buildings towards the smart grid as well as the smart cities plan, okay. Even if you look at Chennai, so Chennai, there is a lot of plan like arrangements for the incorporating the energy storage option, okay. Every street or even every location. So they are planning now, the Tamil Nadu Electricity Board, and this planning is going on as of now, okay. So what could be a smart energy building, okay? How a building should be looking like? The building should have a natural habitats, the building should have the grid, the building should have its own energy generation like a solar PV in the top, rooftop, you can see that. The building should have the people and the neighborhood you need to focus. You should be more concentrating on the weather condition, okay, in that buildings or your area. Then better transportation, okay. So these are the aspects you need to consider, right? So for all these cases, now we are depending on the technologies. Okay, technology is playing a very, very important role. So focus on the performance. So what are the focus? One is utilization of renewable. Then second one is a low energy system. Then third one is passive energy saving technologies. Okay. You can see the renewable energy resource like a water source heat pump, then photovoltaic power, then CCHP, then solar thermal power. Okay, this is coming under this renewable energy resource. Whereas if you look at the low energy system, it is heat recycling, high efficient cooling as well as the heating. Because we are, means India is one of the country where the temperature, weather is always warm, right? So it requires the cooling, okay. Whereas if you look at the Europe, which the countries most of the time it is very cold, so it requires the heating. So there is a different requirements for the different regions and lighting as well, okay. Because most of the time in the summer, Europe will be more summer, okay. For example, it's not 12 hours, it's more than 12 hours. In some regions like Sweden, or if you take Norway, something like that, sometimes it is more than 18 hours sunlight, okay. So it's not 24 hours, sorry, it's not 12 hours, it's 18 hours. So this is a scenario, so you just imagine, okay. And in the winter time, it is more than 18 hours darkness. So that's the thing. So we need some technologies with some intelligence, okay, to manage this. Then passive energy saving, like building shading, then natural ventilation, then performance, high performance window as well as a door, natural lighting, then high performance envelope, then heat storage, okay, high air tightness, okay, then purity, okay, air purity inside the house. So everything you need to focus. Nowadays I'm seeing in the internet, in the social media, so they are advertising, so the air cleaner is coming, okay. It's something like a box, okay. So if you keep it box inside your room, it cleans the air like that. So I'm really wondering, so where we are going, okay. And next is about how you can implement those active as well as the passive strategy to overcome this, okay. For example, active strategies like incorporation of renewable energy, like PV, solar thermal, geothermal, wind turbine system. Then think about the passive, okay, building envelope design, heat storage system, lighting design. Then building geometry or natural lighting, natural ventilation. So these are all the aspects you need to focus. So now if you look at the Western side as well as the Europe, they are focusing mainly on these domains only. So we are still focusing on the hardware, then developing, debugging the hardware and circuits, okay. So now we need to, this is the time to change, okay. And we also should not say that we are instrumentation engineer or we are electrical engineer or we are only communication engineer. So we should focus on these things, okay. Building energy delivery and export. So you need to focus on building energy systems. So you can see that how all the four aspects like electricity, heating, cooling, fuel, okay, which we need to effectively manage. Okay, so energy usage, you can see how the energy is used, how the energy is consumed from the renewable and non-renewable, and how the energy is exported by using the renewable. Okay, and we need to focus on other requirements for the building. So building requires heating, cooling, ventilation, lighting, loads, plugging loads, and processing. Okay, so these are the aspects for the building needs. So in order to coordinate all these things, so we need the sophisticated technologies as well as the sensor equipments. Okay, so why the sensors are focused now more is everywhere they started using sensors, not only in building, not only in smart grid, not only in smart cities, even the EV electric vehicles nowadays, they are focusing is more with sensors. If the sensor fails, then you just imagine what will happen to your vehicle, car. Okay, so it's a very crucial to have a very sensitive sensors, or accuracy is very important in this. The next one is a zero energy building. So we discussed about the smart home, smart grid, and now the zero energy building. Zero energy building is a concept where the energy is generated in the same building and it is consumed in the same building, and sometimes the energy could be delivered to grid also. Okay, so as little energy consumption as possible, cool in summer, warm in winter. So that's what the scenario, and more efficient use of energy. For example, heating, cooling, ventilation, lighting, hot water. Okay, all those things we should do some more efficiently. That's the reason they are suggesting star rating now. I told you already, right? If you visit T Nagar, I don't know the shop, so they always advertise with this star rating. Okay, so I think it's a Ratna store. So they are the very old stores, which is in T Nagar, and they are advertising this also, right? So create the energy. So how you can create the energy in your building? Maybe you can incorporate the solar PV or small wind turbines in your building itself. And you can see in the right hand side how a building will look like. You can see in the roof, it has all the solar PVs, photovoltaic panels. Okay. Then you can see the roof, it is with efficient insulation. Okay. Then every floor you can see it is occupied with heating system, floor heating system, thermal arrangements is there. You can see the tube like that. Okay. The red color as well as the blue color ones. Then another thing is you can see the heat recovery as well as the ventilation. So you need to have the pumping arrangements, rainwater collection. You see, I told already the Chennai, it has to incorporate this rainwater harvesting is a must. Then geothermal heat pumps, you can see that why it is used, because it has to pump the heat when during the winter. It is not for our region, it is for the European western regions. Okay. So you have to design your home in the near future like this. Okay, this might be the need of the hour. Okay. So naturally, if you look at the overview, you can see in detail like solar panel or solar cells. Okay, here. Then here you have a solar cells, solar collectors with the skylights. Okay, so you have the optional arrangements for the natural ventilation, solar heated water. Okay, then energy optimized windows, you can see here with sun screening. Then floor heating systems, you can see the thermal arrangements in the orange color. Then heat pump and the water tank, ventilation and heat and recycling. Okay, so preheated air during the winter time, you need to warm up your house. Then you have the natural ventilation as well. So this is the aspect I think in the near future all the real estate companies will focus. Then DC homes, because you know very well IIT Madras, they have incorporated this DC grid, not only inside their campus, I think in the nearby buildings, like I think the area might be like it's OMR Road near IIT Madras. It is Great Kailash, something like that. I forgot the location. I think it is Madhya Kailash, right? So I think so. So in that the nearby area, they started providing the DC supply to the nearby areas for one lighting arrangement to every home from the IIT Madras. So this is the concept. So it's nothing but in the near future, make it more DC grid enabled to the homes rather than the AC. Okay, AC grid. So even if you look at, they will start think about manufacturing. Maybe the manufacturing sectors will change now in the near future. Like they started manufacturing, they will go back. Okay, means the olden days they used DC, then they converted to AC. Now they will go back to DC. Okay. Even you look at the railways, okay, railways, every coach, okay, or in the train, if you look at, so it is with a different specification, okay, electrical specification, even the light or fan inside that, okay, and even the air conditioning system in the air conditioned coach, or if you look at Shatabdi trains, so you can see, okay. So these are the aspects they are focusing on it. And now, so what is the advantage of going to use with the smart grid? Okay, so this is the one I taken from the Snyder. So you can see how it is enabled with the technology. It's a cloud computing, all the data is stored, and you can see that from the data you are able to control or monitor by using the sensors. They are using the GPRS. Maybe in the near future they will use the 5G technology. Okay, so now you can easily correlate why that technological development is taking place around different domains. Why 5G? Why cloud computing? Why IoT? Okay, and why the artificial intelligence technologies? Because it has to analyze the data you are storing, okay, in the server or in the cloud. You have to analyze, okay, you have to predict, for example, in case of any failure, okay. So all those things will contribute towards the smart home or the smart grid network along with the smart cities, okay. Then another thing is your smart grid or the thing should interact with each home. How it will interact by using its own uh, sensoring equipments inside the house as well as its communication technology. Okay, so this is what the scenario. So how you can operate it. In the near future, what will happen? You will be asked, Chennai peoples, you will be given one Android app, and they will TNEB will ask you, okay, you decide your electricity bill. Okay, so from 9 to 10, this is the bill. 10 to 11, this is the bill. So how you want? If you don't want, you switch off your incoming power supply. Okay, like that they will give you the option in the near future. So who knows? So this is the technology evolution is happening. And another thing is most of the time, so when you look at inside the house, okay, so we need to focus on how effectively we can manage the load, and we need to monitor, then we need to manage the temperature, right? Then another thing is we need to focus on how we can overall we can manage the efficient homes by using mobile interface, web interface, and home display. For all these things, we need some inputs, right? Like sensor inputs. So that's the thing. And another important thing is how we can manage also. So not only monitoring, but also you need to control. Okay. So smart home energy management system. So many of the students are doing projects in this. Even we also did in the year 2001. So even now also we are doing it. When we did, we used the dial-up connection. Okay, dial-up phones. If you dial 1, dial 2, dial 3, like that. Now technology is changed. Just one touch, right? So this is the scenario for this future smart homes and the smart grid management systems by using the cutting edge technology. Not only that, if you look at the big buildings like Olympia Tech Park, or if you look at the YMR, the Software Technology Park, okay, all those things like CTS building, or if you take Wipro company, or any other building infrastructure, So the future, you need to have all these managements like power management, process and machine management, IT room management, building management, security management. You just imagine, okay? All these things you should do it with the supervision, okay? That means the supervised control with the different communication between the different buildings. Even you can communicate with the factory, you can communicate with the household things. That means you can say it is a community homes, okay, and even you can manage with the schools at colleges, like that. It may happen in the near future. So what is the ultimate aim in this is up to 30% savings on the capital expenditure as well as the operational expenditure. Not only that, in the near future, you need to connect your EV. I hope so. EV is getting much attention. Recently, there is a hot news is coming with India, especially every state. They have incorporated this own policy, EV policy. So if this is the case, now many companies, they are focusing on EV charging infrastructure. Okay, there is a one company so which is doing Chennai Metro. Okay, the development, the same company now they are focusing on the EV charging now, okay, in Chennai. So if this is the scenario, so just imagine, so in the future homes, okay, the future real estate builders, okay, so they have to focus on these aspects in the near future, okay. Not only car parking, the car parking should have the EV charging, okay, and not only EV charging, it should have a safe charging. Safety is very important, right? So this is the scenario, and another thing is they are now they are western side, they are focusing on the wireless charging. I hope so. You know very well the Samsung has coming with wireless charging nowadays, the smartphone. So if this is the scenario, so in the near future, the cars also will come with a smart wireless charging. So you doesn't require any wire. Just you go and park and under the plate, charging plate, so automatically your car will be charging. So this is the things then the near future will happen. Now, so we discussed what is the past. Now, what is today? Like there are certain things like smart and green come together. Now they are telling like it is a bright green buildings. Then use of BIM and IPD and use of renewable energy. And in the near future, you need to connect your electric vehicles. You have to make your building net zero energy. Net zero energy means generate your own electricity and consume it, okay. Then carbon neutral buildings is the future, okay. Please note down carbon neutral building. That means it has no carbon emission, okay, CO2 emission inside your building. You just imagine. Now we are talking about 3-star, 4-star rating. That means in the near future it is 100% star rating. That means no emission at all. And microgrids, then the eco district, okay, eco cities, okay. So these are the near future. So to achieve this futuristic technology, we need the help of the latest cutting edge technologies like IoT, AI, big data, etc. Right? Now I connect how I am connecting this future grid or future building with this sustainable development goal. The sustainable development goal 7 is the carbon neutral or affordable energy, and 11 is the sustainable and green practices for better living in the cities. Then development goal 12, recycling, reusing and waste management. Urgent call to stop climate change is under the 13, and under 15 it is protect the forest and biodiversity by tree plantation. So now I am relating all these things with the zero energy building. That means your smart home. That means this will focus on the smart grid as well as the smart cities. Okay. Now, what are the key drivers for this? Is very, very important. The key drivers are it should be the smart grid or the smart homes. The key drivers involve growing electricity demand, need to reduce the CO2 emission, constraints on existing networks, okay, and our main focus is on technology availability, okay, and active government and the regulators. Not only the government and the regulator, but also the end users like us. This will make the microgrid or the smart grid will happen in the near future. Okay. As of now, if you look at this is a one-way energy only grid. So we need to make it as a two-way energy or data smart grid. How? We need to focus on, or we need to diversify us from centralized generation to distributed generation. Okay. That means we can have more renewable energy plant. That means a big renewable energy plant like the one which is developed by the Adani groups in Pollachi or in Kamudi, right? We can have some distributed energy generation in the distribution side also, as well as in the consumer side also, right? Then we can focus on active energy efficiency. Okay, how? By involving the consumers, by providing Android apps to the consumer, ask the consumer to focus on their energy requirements and their energy billing. Okay, so they can choose. Then in the near future, you can have the option to charge your electric vehicles as well in your home itself, or in your where you are going to office, or where you are going to mall, or where you are going to park or shopping. So wherever needed, you can have the charging facilities. For all these things, we need the communication and software at all levels to provide the smart grid. So these technologies is so-called the cutting-edge technology. So it has to interact with all levels, like generation, distribution, and the consumer. Now it is very much effective. So now you can have two-way grids. Okay, so not only one-way grid, it is a two-way grid. So this is the case. Like energy producers, you should have. That means the government and regulator is overall. They will monitor all these things. Then energy producer, transmission system operator, they have to focus on the generation side. And the distribution side, the distribution network operator, energy supplier, energy traders, they have to focus. Then in the consumer side, we have to make the consumer as an active end user. Then we have to make the commercial buildings as a facility manager. Now you can see there are a lot of positions available in the software companies or in the buildings, like facility manager. Okay, so they have to manage their facility. Then we can have the local energy producer as well, like solar, rooftop solar, or small wind turbine. Okay, in your building itself. Okay, so these are all the things. So now, if you look at how you can manage the future grid is by providing the technology and communication, networking, data management, IT enterprise. Okay, that's the reason you look at now. If some students are getting a placement and if they are going and joining in companies like CTS, you can see this kind of designation roles. Okay, so why? Because they are also focusing on this, right? So they are also doing the business in this domain. CTS means don't think that they are only doing software development. No, they are now into this smart grid, then IoT, then AI. Okay, so they are doing many businesses also. To help them make smart grid happen, so what we need to do? Okay, our role. Efficient homes and efficient enterprise, like efficient buildings. Okay. With the EV charging infrastructure, with smart building, smart data center. So you can make it as a smart demand now. Okay, not normal demand or not conventional demand. And make the distribution very flexible and make the localized generation in the distribution side, like solar or something like that. So smarter supply. And plus demand response. The demand response is the word which is very much used nowadays in the Western countries, and it will become very popular in the near future in India as well. Okay, if all the three are there in the place, are in the right place, then the smart grid will happen. Okay, so for this we need the cutting edge technologies what we are focusing today. Okay. Thank you so much. I hope so. This session would have given you some insight into this technology, and I have not discussed that much technically, but I have given an overview. So thank you so much. Thanks the head of the department and organizers, as well as the Sairam Institute of Technology. So if you have any questions, I am welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your excellent presentation, sir. We are getting a lot of information related to energy requirement as well as usage, some new concept related to DC com, etc. Sir, really we are enlightened with your present as well as your knowledge. Participants, any doubts? You may put in chat box. Participants are requested to clarify your doubts. Put your questions in chat box. Sir, sir,
Yeah.
just check the chat box question, sir.
Madam, the chat box is not visible to me.
Okay, sir. I read how the security will be tackled with so many devices.
Security will be tackled with so many.
So many devices. Tackled with.
I don't know what they mean, because security means what they are talking about. Is it building security or energy security, or what exactly they want? But I think their question, I believe, like with the different sensor arrangements and different technological equipments. Okay, so
asking about data security and constraints of hardware in IoT devices, sir.
Constraints of hardware in IoT devices. There is no such constraint. Like the only constraint is the technology what you are using. For example, you should not have equipments which is very older, and you don't. If you wish to connect with the one which is having some 4G or 5G technology, so the communication protocol is very important. So how you can connect with the different equipments, and not only that, so nowadays this limitation has been overcome also. You can connect any number of devices you want. So that much flexibility is available nowadays with the systems which is provided by the Schneider Electric or Siemens or ABB. Okay, so they have a very good flexibility to provide this kind of systems. So there is no constraint over it. Only thing is you should have the facility. For example, you know very well, right? So if you purchase a smart home, now you can control all your equipments. Okay, instead of this individual remote, you can control from your mobile phone. Provided the mobile phone also should have the firmware available. Also, your equipment also should have the same availability. So if it matches, then it is fine.
Sir, next question. What is the future for DC home?
The future for DC home, I already told, right? So near Madhya Kailash, you know very well. I don't know exactly, the name is correct, right? I really forgot, okay? Near the IIT. So it's close to the OMR road, right? That software park. What is the software park? I really forgot. Okay. So Tidal, yeah, just behind the Tidal, there is something called IIT Research Park. Okay, IIT Madras Research Park. So there you can see that is between Velachery and Anna University. Okay, in between this, you can have a small area in the OMR. So there they are providing this kind of facility for DC homes from IIT Madras. Okay, DC grid. So if this is the scenario, just imagine in the near future, if the smart grid is implemented everywhere, if there is a renewable based electricity generation everywhere, then definitely the DC appliances will come into picture more. Okay, so in that scenario, you will have a more DC grids. DC homes.
Okay. Sir, and one more question. Current crypto
Yeah.
standards can't be embedded to tiny devices. Current crypto standards can't be embedded in tiny devices. How will be the security then?
Actually, I'm basically from electrical background. I think I'm unable to answer for this particular question related to the crypto standards.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for accepting your invitation with your busy day schedule. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.